Okay, hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to my channel. My name is Hope if you're new, and I'm really excited that you're joining me today. Today I thought it'd be fun to go through and talk to you guys about all the ways my planner makes me a more productive person. I do want to quickly disclose that productivity is going to look different for everyone, so what I might deem as productive might not be what you deem it as. And so it all really is just super subjective, so I thought I would do a little disclaimer and preface this whole video by sharing what I think productivity looks like in my own life. That way, as we go through this, you can kind of get a sense of why this is really helpful in terms of making me a more efficient person, making sure that I'm balancing my time, and so really that work-life balance comes into play a lot in here, and then also just making sure I make time for the things that matter to me. And I think that if I'm able to balance all of that out, then I view my week or my day as being productive. So now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and open this up and talk about one of the first ways I use my planner to be more productive, and that is going to be my daily pages. I have a little bookmark at the top here, and that is going to open us up to my daily spreads. I think the easiest way for me to actually explain why this makes me more productive is to just show you. So I thought we would go ahead and do a little bit of planning together. We are going to be planning for Wednesday, October the 23rd, which will actually be the day that you guys are watching this video. So that's kind of fun. It's currently Tuesday. It has been a pretty productive start to the week, so this video just kind of felt really inspired by that. But okay, when I am planning things in my Filofax, one of my favorite things to do is give myself an hourly breakdown of how I want my day to play out. There's a couple of things I know for certain. First off, I do like to just write in the number 5 up at the top there, just because I've been getting into the habit of waking up at 5 a.m. to do my full morning routine. Obviously that doesn't happen every single day, but lately I've been going through just like a few different life changes, and so I'm having to make the most out of my mornings, especially because sometimes that's the only time during the day that I'm able to really spend with myself. So I have my 5 a.m. morning routine, and then I know at about 6 o'clock I'm gonna do my walk and admin hour. So I'll go ahead and write those two things in here. My walk and admin hour is essentially where I do two things at once. I'll walk on my walking pad or treadmill, and then I'll also go ahead and go through and do all of my emails. I'll get back to people if I maybe, miss their call, or if I need to do any texts. That is typically my hour for just getting things kind of on track before the day starts going. Usually when I'm doing a whole layout of how I want my day to go, it's because I know I have a lot to get done. That is typically when this daily spread comes in the most handy. I will say that if you're trying to use your planner to be more productive, one of the best things that you can do is actually plan things out hour by hour. I can't tell you guys how many years of my life I spent stressed out because I would always overbook myself, especially in college. I used to always think that I had more time than I did, and if I just would have planned things out in this way, I probably would have been able to get more things done in less time and just have really been a little bit more efficient with my time. So we've got my morning routine, I've got my walk and admin hour. Then at 7, I'm gonna say that we get ready and just kind of like get sorted for the day, and that is going to include breakfast as well. By 8 a.m. I really want to have started on my work. I think my goal is to get all my work done by 11 o'clock. That way I know that by 12 I can do like a quick break for lunch, and then at 1 I can start studying for my exam. And then if I know something is going to last longer than an hour, I just go ahead and put a little arrow. That way I know that this task or this event is going to be taking place from 8 to 11. Or I guess it would technically be 8 to 12 because that is when I'm planning on taking a little lunch break. Then at 1 o'clock, I'm going to call this my study hour. That is going to be just to really prep myself for my exam. I'm taking like a data analytics management exam. I don't have to go anywhere for it, luckily, but it is a proctored, like scheduled exam, and so I'm probably going to want to study just a little bit beforehand, and then the exam itself should it shouldn't really take longer than maybe 3 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and book 2 to 5 for the exam itself. At 5 o'clock, I am going to clean my house. At 6, I am going to pack and prep because I know I'm gonna be doing some meal prepping for them. So I might make like some ingredient lists, just stuff like that. This is going to be a little free hour, and then I would love to be in bed by, I'm gonna say 9 o'clock. So we're gonna go ahead and put night routine here, and that will just be for anything I need to do, like maybe I'll take a shower, wash my hair, and kind of that sort of thing. That is how I've been using my daily pages to keep myself on track. If I have a more work heavy day, typically what I'll also do is I'll put little bullet points here and actually outline what I want to be working on at what hour, because when I say I'm going to be working from 8 to 12, that could be a lot of different stuff during that 4-hour block. And I've really found that if I'm more specific with what I'm working on, I'm more likely to actually get it all done and also not overwhelm myself by maybe scheduling in too much. So I really felt like that would just be easier to show you guys how I've been using the daily pages for planning out my life, really just being productive and making sure that I am really efficient with my time. I feel like showing you is a lot easier than just saying I use this daily page to be productive. And so I hope that was a little bit helpful in case you're curious on different ways that you can plan out your schedule. So yeah, that's one page that I definitely find myself using when I know I have, any sort of event, or if I just have a busier schedule. I really like to just see it all laid out. That has been really, really helpful. Okay, next we are going to be heading into the monthly spreads, and this is the next way my planner helps me be productive, because having the ability to see my entire month all in these 2 pages really makes sure that I'm not forgetting anything, and it's just been nice to be able to reference on the go. If you're new here, this is the planner that I use essentially as my wallet. So it is something that I'm referencing while I'm out and about. It's something that I reference at work, at home, and I find it just to be a really easy way for me to see my schedule kind of like on paper. It's actually been a really busy month for me, and so I haven't had the chance to do any decorating to my October spread. I honestly don't even know where October went. I feel like time just completely flew by, but in here I have all sorts of stuff like birthdays. I have a book sale that happened at my local bookstore. I have things like girls' nights. I also have hearts on this entire week because it is my self-love week. Really what I'm trying to do is just one act of self-love every single day. And so yesterday that looked like planning out some affirmations, and then today my act of self-love is going to be taking a nice little bath tonight. Tomorrow I think it might be maybe doing like a nicer dinner or something, like cooking a new meal. And then I haven't really figured out what I'm gonna do for the rest of the week, but I know that it's going to be kind of like self-care centered. Having a monthly spread in your planner is going to be helpful for a number of reasons. Number one, you're really going to be able to see any big events that are coming up. And so if you're trying to be more productive, one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is allow yourself to plan ahead of time for big things that are coming up. For example, I have some birthdays in here. Just being able to see that reminds me to not only get gifts, maybe give them a call, or really just kind of keep it on the top of my mind. That way, if I see anything that I might want to get for them, I'm kind of already thinking about it. Especially if you're adding in birthdays to maybe like extended family members that you don't see as often and you just want to remember, I feel like having a monthly spread is a really easy way for you to do that. And then as you pass through my monthly calendar, we get into my weekly spread. Now, my weekly spread is where a bulk of my planning actually happens. I have it set up into 2 pages where it goes just through Monday through Sunday. I do a little line down here, and that's kind of how I use it as my to-do list. I just draw a little dot, write down the to-do, and then cross it off when I'm done. Anything on the left-hand side is going to be something that I'm writing down, like maybe an event, if I have a doctor's appointment, anything like that. So that has been really nice. Having a weekly goal has been life-changing, you guys. I think it's one of the easiest ways that you can really keep yourself on track with any of the bigger goals you might have. So for example, my weekly goal this week was to fill my time with anything and everything and to really just never stop moving. I am currently testing out a little bit of a new theory where I am seeing if momentum is kind of what I rely on to get things done. I found that usually when I don't have a ton scheduled in my day, I find that I feel more sluggish and almost like more lackadaisical as compared to when I have a bunch going on. I definitely think that having time to rest is really important, so I don't want to like neglect that. But I also know that when I have a lot of stuff going on, it feels like my capacity to handle new things does go up. And so that was kind of a goal of mine for this week. This is what my pages look like before I add anything onto them. And then I do keep this little bookmark just so I like know where it is in my planner. I like being able to just grab it at the top and flip right up into the page. I think I probably rely on my weekly plan the most. I definitely check it more than I check my monthly or my dailies. It is how I keep everything in order. It has everything from my personal life to school to work. The only thing I really don't keep in here is anything related to like client-based work. I keep that in a different planner that is like specifically for my work. And here you'll find more things like if I have any social media things I want to do, maybe if I think of like a YouTube video idea, anything that's in like the creative realm will also go into this planner. So that's really fun. And I feel like the weekly spread is really where I just keep everything in order. I really do view it as like my weekly to-do list. So if I think of anything, I'll usually write it on like a little sticky note, or I will write it in my inbox, which is at the front of my planner. And then I can kind of just trickle things into my weekly plan as like time opens up. So I just really find that it's one of the most useful tools that I have in my Filofax or in my planner in general. I use it a ton, and I definitely would always recommend that you have some sort of weekly layout if you are trying to plan your life to be more productive. Okay, quick little matcha break. Incredible. I have been really into doing my afternoon pick-me-up drinks. I used to always make them, and then I kind of switched to just having 2 coffees earlier in the morning, and so I'm kind of phasing myself out of that and back into just like a little afternoon pick-me-up. Okay, the next way that my planner helps me stay productive is by using a daily habits tracker. If you are somebody who hasn't started tracking their habits, I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to do so. I mean, even look at me. I don't even keep up with it as often as I used to, or maybe should have, but I mentally know what I've done on what day. And so usually what I've been doing is sometimes I'll go back in at like the end of the week and I'll just kind of do a quick little fill in. Like I haven't updated it in pretty much almost a week already, but I know I've been pretty good about these on weekdays, and then I usually fall off on the weekend, and so I can kind of follow that pattern. Keeping track of your habits, at least until you get to the point where they are solid habits, is one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite things to recommend. A lot of the habits I have on here are things that I really kind of automatically do every single day, but it didn't always used to be that way. I think that habit tracking was one of the main forms of accountability that I've used that has just drastically changed the way that my everyday life looks. Like for example, the habits I have on here are skin and body, half gallon of water, eat well, read, journal, clean, workout, deep work, walk, lymphatic drainage, hobby time, study, regulate my nervous system, and a little tidy. Doing all of these every day has almost become like second nature to me. And so sometimes even if I don't mark it off, I know that I am still like on track in doing that habit. But especially when I was first starting, and I really kind of just started this whole journey probably back in 2018 was when I first started really habit tracking, and that was pretty much my freshman year of college. I didn't want to fall off track with some of the habits that I knew would be good for me, and so I just kind of started tracking them, and ever since then I've been doing it, and they of course have evolved over time, but the act of habit tracking is one of the best ways for you to build a new habit or a new goal. There is just something about it, so I would really, really recommend adding a little habit tracker spread to your planner if you haven't already. I made this one specifically for October. I added like cute little bats and a little spider web. I make them on Canva and then I go ahead and just print them out myself. I would really recommend printing out some of your pages at home and then just getting like a little hole puncher. I'll link the one I use below, but this is the one I use. I really, really like it. It feels like it's a really good quality one, and so I definitely would recommend it. But the reason I would recommend creating your own spreads is because I had a very hard time finding a habit tracker that would work for a pocket-sized planner. And so ultimately I decided that I just had to make my own, and I think it was a really good call. So habit tracking absolutely helps me be more productive, even if it isn't something that I'm marking down every single day. Just knowing it's here and doing little check-ins with myself honestly keeps me so much more accountable than if I were to just nix this all together. Okay, next up we have my cleaning checklist. This is another printout that I did on Canva, and then I just cut and hole punched it here myself. But basically basically I have a cleaning checklist of things I want to do every day, and then also like a daily focus. So for example, on Mondays, I focus on the kitchen, which means I deep clean the sink, I clean the microwave, the stove, the oven, I wipe down all my appliances, and then I organize the kitchen cabinets. Breaking down my cleaning schedule into basically like a daily area focus has been awesome for me, especially for somebody who doesn't always like saving up all of your cleaning for like one big day at the end. I used to swear by doing like a full Sunday reset, but then ultimately I realized that I felt like my home was always a little bit too dirty come Saturday. And so being able to do one focus area a day not only has made it more manageable for me, but I also feel like it makes me into like a more productive person. Having that daily task of knowing I'm going to be cleaning something every day really keeps me kind of going, like I was saying, like that whole momentum thing. And then obviously I get more done in a clean environment, you know, the whole clear space, clear minds. So yeah, keeping track of things like this and just having little checklists in here really help me stay on track with the things that matter to me. So I really would recommend adding checklists to your planner. They are honestly one of the easiest ways to keep yourself on track. Speaking of keep myself on track, if you noticed I had a little habit on my habit tracker called 4 hours of deep work. So essentially what that means is I like to spend some time in what's called like deep work. And so I'm not talking about like surface level things like emails or admin work. I'm talking like truly creative pursuits or maybe things revolving around business development. Deep work has also applied to my studies before, so I'll spend hours in like deep focus. And so I really like to keep track of that, and that ultimately led to this tracker, which is my hours worked. Every single day I keep a log of the hours that I worked. This has been really telling in terms of understanding how I'm actually spending my time. So on some of these days you can see that I tend to do a lot of my work earlier in the morning, and then other days I go until like 7 or so o'clock. I usually try to close out all my work by 7 just because I am a person who likes to get to bed kind of early. I'd rather wake up earlier instead of stay up later. But keeping track of the hours that I did do some form of work has been really nice, because sometimes you don't really realize how you're spending your time. Maybe sometimes I would turn on like a Netflix show at night and I would think that I only spent like an hour watching, when in reality I'm spending more than 1 hour. You know what I mean? Like I'll spend 2 hours or 3 hours just kind of watching a show and kind of like zoning out. And so tracking my hours worked has been really telling, just because it really does show you how you're spending your time and also what hours you're spending them on. I was really inspired by a YouTube video I saw a while back. If I remember it, I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description so you guys can check it out. But it basically was a recommendation that before you can start time blocking your own schedule or time blocking your calendar, anything like that, you really should take some time and track how you actually spend your time. And so what that looked like for me is I did like a reverse of the daily schedule that we did. So like for example, instead of planning out everything that I want to do the next day, I would keep a log of everything I did like at that very moment. So right now it's like 4 o'clock or something. I would write down in here filmed YouTube video. And doing that is a very honest and eye-opening thing for you to do. And it really just allows you to see how much of your time you spend doing what. And you can honestly do this with anything. It doesn't just have to be like productivity focused in terms of how many hours you spent working. It could be how many hours you slept. It could be how many hours you spent working on a hobby, or maybe even how many hours you spent with other people. I think that it is just super eye-opening and really just a great thing to keep track of and use in your planner. Okay, that is pretty much all the pages that I find really help me be a more productive person and also stay a productive person. But before we close out today's video, I did want to quickly mention a few kind of reasons why a physical planner has helped me. I was a digital planner for a very long time. I loved Notion and I still really do like Notion, but I really got to the point where I was overcomplicating myself in terms of digital planning, and then it was also just a really easy way for me to get distracted. That's basically to say that using a physical planner has made me into a more productive worker, because I'm not having to constantly reference things on my phone, which means I'm not getting as sidetracked, and I'm really finding that I do focus a lot better when I use a physical pen and paper. This is something I've talked to my partner a lot about, and even he agrees that when he writes down like a physical to-do list, he tends to get that done done way more than if he writes down a to-do list on like the notes app of his phone. I honestly don't know why pen and paper feels so different, but it really does. I feel like whenever I write things down in my planner, they just stick a lot better. I feel like when I was working in Notion, it was easy for me to kind of forget about things. I don't know if it's because I'm relying on the fact that it's automated. Like I like to use reminders on my iPhone a lot. Usually I'll set a reminder for like a specific time. So if I know I need to remember to do something at a specific time, I'll go ahead and schedule it to pop up on my phone. But there is a really good chance that I will just dismiss that reminder. But for whatever reason, when I write something down on like a sticky note and I stick it to the front page, which is usually what I'll do, I'll go ahead and rip one off and then it's just right there. And it's usually something that I need to remember that's a little bit important. Seriously, whenever I open up my planner, it's just right there. And so I think it's just a really good system in terms of using a pen and paper to keep things on the forefront of your minds. And I'm sure elements of digital planning can do that as well, but I have honestly just found that planning using a pen and paper is just 10 times better for me. Honestly, I think it comes down to there's less distractions in here. I can't tell you how many times I would log on to Notion and then I would see like a text message pop up and then I would go down like a whole rabbit hole of talking to someone, or I would get a notification from a different app, or I would somehow find myself on Instagram or TikTok, and it just felt like every time I picked up my phone, I was just getting distracted. And so having all my to-do lists and all of the things I need to do to be productive in this planner where there aren't any distractions has been really nice. And so that is definitely why I think that using this planner has made me into a more productive person. I really hope that you were able to gain something of value from today's video. If you did and you enjoyed it, feel free to like and subscribe if you're new. I am so happy that you guys are here, and it honestly means the world to me that you are. With that said, I'm going to close out today's video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you guys have any video ideas or things that you might want to see coming up, definitely let me know down below in the comments. I will say that I do have an upcoming video thanks to you guys. I have two of them actually. I have a what's in my bag video, and then I also have a video where I take you through my whole process of creating a page on Canva, how to get the sizing right, how to print it, how to cut it, and really how to make your own pages for your Filofax from start to finish. So those are two videos you guys have coming up. Again, if you have any other suggestions, definitely leave them down below in the comments, and I will talk to you guys all in the next video. Bye guys.